There's a lorry driver shortage in the UK. Dairy farmers are being told to dump their milk.
You and 28 other farmers have got to pull the plug because we haven't got any drivers. We've lost 2 drivers and some haven't turned up.
In some shops, the shelves are empty.
Without products, there's no business because you need to have the products to sell. You know, if you have with empty shelves like this, no one's going to come into the shop anyway.
It's a problem now. It's a problem looking ahead.
Stock is becoming a bit of an issue for us. You know, everyday items from Play-Doh to dolls figures to dolls houses is becoming a bit of a problem getting the stock in or being, guaranteed that we're going to be able to get it for Christmas.
The question is, why is this happening? This is Nicola Sturgeon's response.
I really do think Conservatives should take some responsibility because it is entirely inflicted by their obsession with Brexit.
The Conservatives, though, don't agree.
To say that this is just an issue of Brexit is completely untrue. What it is about, Mr. Speaker, is coronavirus.
Well, to assess this, we should start with the industry itself. One estimate says 90,000 lorry drivers are needed. The UK's Road Haulage Association asked its members why. 58% said Brexit. The industry had for years relied heavily on drivers from the European Union. And as market researchers Transport Intelligence point out, Brexit effectively ended recruitment from the EU, making it legally impossible to recruit foreign HGV drivers. Numbers from the Office for National Statistics certainly show a drop in driver numbers. There were 40,000 in the UK at the start of the pandemic from the EU. That number has now fallen by 15,000. Crucially, though, 50,000 UK-based drivers have left the profession, 3 times more than the fall in EU drivers. Also, those European drivers who did leave could have stayed. They may have left indirectly because of Brexit, but they didn't have to. They may have left because of COVID or other reasons. And look at this map. The UK isn't the only country with driver shortages. The countries shaded darkest here have the highest number of vacancies. Germany is third, the UK second, Poland in the EU is first. It has 120,000 vacancies. The BBC's Adam Easton explains some of the reasons.
They say there are not enough incentives to attract younger Polish drivers, and it's expensive to obtain a licence. Rather than spend weeks on the road abroad, often younger drivers prefer to stay closer to home, delivering parcels for increasingly popular courier services.
And these shortages inside the EU have been noted. David Campbell-Bannerman is a former UKIP MEP. He tweeted, "Definitely not Brexit then." This, though, doesn't look definite because there are 2 parts to this: why the shortages happened and why the UK is struggling to respond. David Hennig is a trade expert. He notes a word missing from the UK debates on lorry driver shortages, Brexit, etc., is resilience. If you leave a larger unit, raise the barriers, then you may be more vulnerable to shocks. And this is maybe how best to see this shortage. Brexit is not the primary cause for the initial drop in driver numbers, but Brexit has complicated how the UK handles this shock. Here's one industry analyst explaining why.
There's a bit of a reluctance among some mainland European carriers to even come into the UK because costs are unbalanced. It's difficult for them to know that they'll have a load to go back with. The Brexit bureaucracy, the extra challenges around that are a part of it, and then COVID disruptions as well.
Brexit has complicated recruitment. COVID has done that too. Here's more from Alex Veitch from Logistics UK.
In a given year, about 70,000 people take a test to become an HGV driver. Over the year 2020-2021, that's been 25,000 roughly. And this is simply because under quite understandable and correct COVID-safe rules, it's not been possible to sit an examiner with somebody in the cab of a truck to take the tests.
The government argues COVID is a major factor. It also argues, though, that we're seeing a change in the labour market and an increase in demand for British workers, something the UK voted for in the Brexit referendum, something it believes that's to be welcomed.
We're pleased to see that salaries for haulage drivers have been going up. If they're paid 20% more or something like that, I think that would be good for British workers, and I thoroughly support it.
This is a shift in the UK labour market that the government wants. And others are telling us to keep supply shortages in perspective. Supermarkets are saying most products are still widely available. Here's Tesco's chairman.
There's absolutely no reason for customers of Tesco, and indeed I suspect of other supermarket chains, to panic buy or anything like that. So I think it's very easy to make a drama out of a modest crisis.
Despite these reassurances, the supply issues and the driver shortages are happening, in part because of COVID, in part because of Brexit, in part because younger workers aren't keen to be drivers. Other global factors matter too, like US-China trade tensions. Brexit is changing the UK's economy, but the world's economy is changing at the same time. Dan Kemp is an investment manager with Morningstar.
Really, this all speaks to a new trend that we're seeing, which is a partial reversal in the globalization that's dominated the last 30 years, that's kept prices low as supply chains have been optimized and globalized. And as that started to break down over the last couple of years, we're seeing all of these symptoms emerge.
This is a story that goes beyond Brexit, but that doesn't mean Brexit's not a factor. The break from the EU was designed in part to reset how labour works in the UK. It's now doing that, and how the UK responds to these supply chain issues is, in part, shaped by that rearrangement. Whether that's acceptable will depend on your view of the longer-term changes Brexit is designed to deliver.